All right, we are live at the Paste Happiest Hour, and I'm joined today by Shakey Graves. Welcome, Alejandro.
Hello, bonjour. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm in the swing of my house fortress lifestyle.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
you found your. Is there a space that you find yourself spending most of your time?
I've never felt happier that I have an upstairs and an outside area. I feel like all of this has really kind of made me realize how much like a little amount of having a yard, like matters to just situations like this. Because I've lived in New York City and stuff briefly and been like, I could do this. I would sacrifice some of my Texas roots or whatever, and like maybe my yard would be a little bit sketchier. But you get a roof, and you get the city, and then it's like as soon as those two things are in question, you're like, oh my god, I'm in my apartment. And so like having a tree in my yard is just like I couldn't be happier. You know what I mean? So
Great.
yeah, I have an office which you're in right now. This is kind of my lair,
Cool.
and the couch for sure. Lots of couching.
We have definitely spent more time in our little backyard in the last 2 months than I think we have in the 3 or 4 years that we've lived here prior.
Yeah, I feel like the house is happy. If that makes any sense. I feel like my house is like, wow, thank you. Like this is cool.
It's
Like
getting used.
I've had a garden that's just full of like rocks and snakes and stuff, and now it's like a garden. It's crazy. It's blowing my mind.
Cool. Well, you have a brand new EP. Congrats on Look Alive.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about making this four-song EP.
Well, something that I also feel lucky about is that these last 2 months have been kind of in between two things for me. Like, I guess in the larger sense, I sort of wrapped up the long format touring of a record I put out a couple years ago, and then had done this tour that was called the For the Record tour, which was kind of me going back over the last like 10 years of songs I've made and trying to learn some stuff that I had maybe just done like, in this room or in a room like this, like bedroom recordings. That's all me like whistling and slapping on my legs and stuff. And then when people would request it at a show, I'm like, I've never taught my band, I've been like, dude, you got to do mouth kazoo at this part. And this is a little, like, and so we got to do some like reconstruction of things, and it kind of felt really full circle and sort of closure-y to like a certain amount of work. And so, it was like the questions were just being posed of like, what's next? Are we going to do a big record? What's it going to sound like? And we had started laying down the framework of some of these new songs. And something that I had wanted to do was actually do like some video ahead of time, because I've gotten in this position many times where it's like I make a song, it takes a long time to actually get it from creation to like where other people get to hear it. And then at that point, people are like, hey, will you make a video for it? And I'm like, man, the last thing I want to do is listen to this song more right now. A. B, I have no idea what kind of video, and like scramble to make a video for it or something, make content. It felt backwards to me. And so I was like, well, why don't I try and film us in the beginning, like putting this song together, or putting whatever this thing's going to be together, a full length record or whatever. And so, my band, two of the members, one of them lives in LA, one of them lives in New York. So whenever we record, it's kind of like an event anyway, it's like a 10-day thing. And so I threw in the curveball of having like, a Real Wives of Austin, Texas, like camera crew in there with us, which was really weird to get used to. And it's some friends of mine that do film stuff. I was like, will you film us trying to figure this out? It's like, sure. And so we filmed that, got 10 songs done, had sort of started to put things together and edit these videos. And then all of this happened, it's like everything got shut down. And a goal of mine personally was just having more output this year, as opposed to sitting on stuff again, like a dragon, like I have all these songs, but you can't hear them yet until I collect them, and it's like, I just wanted to experiment more with putting stuff out in the time that it sort of, or within the time that it occurred to me, And so all of this kind of came to a head with quarantine and everything else. It was like, oh, this is the this is the time to put like we have these edited videos, like I can't play any shows. It's like, I've been making a story with videos, and we have these songs, and it was like, let's just make it all a thing and present it as is, as opposed to missing this little window. And so we did.
Well, that's cool. I love the idea of not just feeling bound to that LP tour kind of repeat thing. So
and I feel like when I first started getting really into like music, my musical taste or whatever, I was all about EPs. I had a ton of like 10 inches, and so it was always like, yeah, this 2-song record from a band is like my favorite thing. And like smaller releases always made sense to me, and then I feel like that I've kind of gotten away from that, so it's fun to take it a little seriously on that side too. Be like, small digestible bite, here we go. It's nice.
Cool. Well, are we gonna hear a song from the new EP today?
Yeah, I think you are. I say I think just because I'm always experimenting with stuff. Today my setup is different than it was yesterday, and is different than it will be tomorrow. So what we have today, I'm going to do a version of the main song, which is called Look Alive, which again seems a little more pointed and fitting now in context, but it was supposed to just be like a kind of dangerously optimistic song about, cup half full kind of things. So here we go. I'm going to attempt to use this Univox 70s drum machine.
As of now, I exist. It takes a little while to get used to this rotation. Either way, I'll make it through the day. Yeah, what I wouldn't do for a little motivation to look alive. Yeah, look alive. It's over in no time. So look alive. Yeah, look alive. It's over in no time. So look alive. Yeah, look alive. Hello, gorgeous. Awful kind of you to notice that love is real, so drive it like you stole it off into the night. As of late, nothing's set in stone. I haven't learned a thing since 1987. Please don't make me wait. Is there anybody home? Yeah, what I wouldn't do for a little motivation to look alive. Ooh, yeah, look alive. It's over in no time. So look alive. Ooh, look alive. It's over in no time. So look alive. Yeah, look alive. Ooh, hello, gorgeous. Awful kind of you to notice that love life is real, so drive it like you stole it off into the night. Ooh, the night is knocking at your window. Time is always keeping tempo. Yeah, hello gorgeous, sweet and simple. Yeah, hello my love.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the texture of the drum machine there. Kind of reminds me of your old suitcase drum that you carried around.
Oh yeah, I've still suitcase drumming it up. I'm actually I'm going to do an auction like this week for the Central Texas Food Bank and some other food banks and some other charities and stuff. But I'm actually going to auction off one of my old suitcase drums, just free it into the world for charity and be like, bye buddy.
Oh, that's cool. Well, yeah. I'm sure the people listening will be interested in that. Speaking of which, so there's a donate button on our YouTube stream. Go into Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, and our viewers just took it over $1,000 while you were playing that song. So thank you all who are donating. That is so great. Sweet Relief does such awesome stuff.
Cheers, guys. Absolutely. Hey, cheers.
So you've got a new EP out, but you also have a new web series out, a documentary series called Hello Gorgeous, which you mentioned in the song right there.
It's kind of like the Bad Company, the record called Bad Company, the band called Bad Company. Yeah, the song called Bad Company.
So you got your Hello Gorgeous, but it's great. I was watching it today. I was watching you guys touring around with a gigantic tape machine on this last tour. And tell us about making this documentary.
I mean, it's the documentary ended up being the other part of this whole thing. Like, I guess I'm trying to find a little bit of unity in all this, whatever, in my own mind. Like trying to, I guess, like Bad Company, the record that is the band, that is the album, that is the song, and it's kind of a chicken egg thing. So our studio is called Hello Gorgeous, and part of the documentary is about us moving into this new space, which now I'm like, I don't get to go to because it was a space built to have other people in. It's like the whole point of a music studio set up where you can record multiple people was to do that exact thing. So maybe that'll be the sequel to all this, is like, goodbye, farewell, gorgeous, or whatever. But yeah, so we did that, and then one of my goals always has been to get one of these big, like 24-track 2-inch tape machines from the 70s. And I found one on the tour and decided to use our trailer setup to pick it up because it weighs like 7 million pounds. And then it was like, let's double down and try and record this concert like this. And so we just like fought with this tape machine throughout. It would like blow, smoke. At one point it blew up and smoke literally came out of it. And like, every time we dragged it into a building, people are like, those aren't supposed to move. We're like, we know. Like, yeah, they're not really supposed to move. I'm like, we know it's not supposed to move. But it was cool. That tour was really special because we did multiple nights. It kind of changed up, everything. Like we moved into buildings as opposed to just sort of sweeping through and being on this eternal wake up in a different place. And it changed everything. It was like one of the most joyous music tours I've ever done in my life because it was like, why is it like this? Can't we do it like that? It's like, yeah, I guess you could if you want. It's like, can we drag this giant piece of equipment in here too? It'll be here for 3 days. And they're like, yeah, I guess if you want. So that's part of the doc, and then the rest is kind of using it as a platform to release videos for these songs. So yeah, the first episode is that song, and then there's one called The Recipe, and then there's one called Under the Hood that are all the new songs.
Cool. Well, you get the feeling watching this documentary, just the feel of the camaraderie of you and your bandmates and friends as you're touring around the country and recording and anything that you're doing, it just feels like bringing this group of people together. And now you find yourself kind of quarantined away from them. How are you doing, kind of stuck by yourself? Do you feel like you're getting that connection through phone calls or porch visits or whatever it is there in Austin?
It's a good question. In some ways, yeah. It's like I feel like it's hard to shake good friendship. So it's like there's I've done more Zooming and like technological, hangouts than ever before, and maybe I'm a little bit more used to being away from people for big, bizarre stretches of time. I guess just kind of due to the life of touring. And like in that side, I'm super not tired of my house just because I'm never here. And so it's like, I feel like I'm catching up on one thing while losing the other. But at the same time, it's like nothing really satisfies that itch. It's like having an itch and you need someone else to scratch. Like, can't reach it. Like, please hug me. Hang out with me. Like I hung out with some friends, from a distance, and it was like more than two people. And we couldn't get into a rhythm of talking. We were all so excited to be near somebody else. We kept talking over. It was like, it felt like a bunch of dogs when they're like, they can't figure it out. It was crazy. And it was, I wonder how many like bizarre, taken for granted, muscle memories will go away with stuff like that. Like, will your secret handshake fade? Are you going to go in to like dab somebody and just elbow them in the face? I don't know.
The handshake. But I don't know if it'll ever come back.
Yeah, that handshake. Remember when we used to handshake? That was great. That was so crazy. When we go to hardcore concerts and sweat and bleed all over each other and stuff.
The sweaty crowd listening to rock and roll together. That's the thing I miss.
Yeah, crowd surfing is like assault now. I guess it can be like assault sort of anyway. A lot of venues are like, don't you dive off that stage, we're going to get sued. Now they're like, aha, can't do it at all. Small
What are we gonna hear second today?
God, good question. I can either take a weird swipe at. This is kind of a good window into what I've been doing with my time. I have been learning. You know what? Fuck it. I'll try it. I've never done this before.
All right.
And it's a song that I've always wanted to learn for some reason, and I barely know it. But I'm gonna attempt this because it's about experimentation, right?
All right. Yeah. Roll for anything here at the Happiest Hour.
All right. This is a very obscure old hit. It's called "There Are Worse Things I Could Do" from the movie Grease. Let's see if I can do this. Well, there are worse things I could do than go with a boy or two. The neighborhood thinks I'm trashy and no good. I suppose it could be true, but there are worse things I could do. I could flirt with all the guys, smile at them and bat my eyes, press against them when we dance, make them think they stand a chance, then refuse to see it through. That's a thing I'd never do. I could stay home every night, wait around for Mr. Right,
take cold showers every day and throw my life away on a dream that won't come true. I could hurt someone like me. Out of spite or jealousy. But I don't steal and I don't lie. But I can feel and I can cry. A fact I bet you never knew. But to cry in front of you. That's the worst thing I could do.
I don't think I could have predicted that particular cover coming out of you today. So
It's
very cool.
it's just such a sad jazz song, such a sassy, you know. I mean, it's a little more upbeat, I guess, when Rizzo sings it, but it's been like a weird thing of mine where I'll start to play it like in a sound check. I'm like, I should really take some time and learn there are worse things I could do. And you know what? The time is now. So, you know, if you have any weird projects like learning Rizzo's tunes, go
That's
for
great. Well, one thing we ask everybody on the show is what is that one piece of art, whether it's a TV show, a book, somebody else's album that is getting you through this, entertaining you, occupying your time right now during quarantine?
Oh my God. Right now, like super currently, it's it's the original version of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. It's the original version that he wrote in 1911. It's called Peter and Wendy. And some of my dear friends had given me, it's like a pretty small book, had given me a manuscript of it. And it's so beautiful. It got slimmed down to be Peter Pan, but it's this just like, some of it is it's so pretty. You're like, this is an unbelievably adult, like it's kind of this sorrowful, bizarre, mourning about time and growing up and how, like, you know, once you're 2 years old, it's over for everybody because they know that they're going to get old someday. And that damn Peter Pan's like, he's like the worst guy ever. They made him a little more enjoyable, but in the beginning when he takes them off to Neverland, he like forgets who they are. They're flying and he's like, do I know you guys? And they're like, dude, we're flying right now. Where are you taking us? He's like, oh, right. All right, cool. Yeah, whatever. It's like, awful person. It's great. It's really good.
Wow, that sounds fun. I've never read the original, so
It's that and like RuPaul's Drag Race and 30 Rock.
there you go. Can't go wrong there.
No.
Cool. Well, we're going to bring in Erin Ray to join us here.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hey, Erin.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Doing great. So we have Austin, Nashville, and Atlanta on the line here, which
Wow.
is a pretty good representation of music, I think.
Yeah, it's a good spread.
That is a
That'll
good
do.
spread.
Josh, are you in Atlanta?
I am in Atlanta.
Okay, I thought I picked up on a southern accent a little bit.
Just a hint.
Hint.
Atlanta, yeah, I literally grew up in Atlanta, so the kids across the street were from Michigan, next door neighbor was New York, so my accent was basically just like
All of theirs.
a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this is the part of the show where we like to raise a glass to everyone that is just getting us through this time, and so or just that we're thinking about now. And we had somebody earlier comment that checked in. My dude Shakey, hello from deployed guy in Africa. So Peter Padlock. And I was just thinking about all the folks that are stuck away from home at this time, whether they're off serving somewhere for the U.S. or they're here in America studying and their family is back home somewhere else, and just what a weird, hard thing that would be. So I want to raise the glass to everybody who is quarantined far, far from home.
Absolutely.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
So Alejandro, who else should we be toasting today?
Gosh, yeah, you nailed that one. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'd say let's toast all those friends that just like you said, you know, maybe are just outside the perimeter of people you get to see all the time. You know, the people that make your life sweet, that you maybe don't get to maybe don't even know their name, the little people that you know, you see every day at a coffee shop or used to, and cheers to the inner workings of a previous life that hopefully will return. But
cheers
for
to
now,
that.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, there are so many things that we're missing now, that it is the people that you might not know their name, but you see them all the time and they're just part of your life and you're working, and there is that void right now, and I think all of our lives.
All the first name acquaintances.
So rich, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Jeff from the coffee shop. Like, yep.
Yeah.
We're not doing Zoom calls with Jeff right now and catching up and seeing how he's doing. So I hope Jeff's okay. Hope everything's going okay with Jeff.
Thank you.
Erin, who else should we be toasting today?
I'm just thinking of people like my sister is still working an essential job. Not even, I mean, of course, all nurses and grocery store people, delivery workers, but even people that would normally come to mind, like paralegals or people in law offices, and just things like that, where, you know, it can feel extra scary to be required to go do a job that normally doesn't necessarily feel that way. And so I'm thinking about those folks.
Absolutely. Cheers to all the essential workers who didn't know that before this that they were essential workers.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What are you guys drinking?
I'm drinking a New Belgium raspberry and lime tartastic or something. I don't know what it's called, but it's a sour. It's a fruity beer.
I have a Buffalo Trace and a little bit of Topo Chico.
Nice. Ooh. Get that bubbly.
Classic. Little Topo Chico mixer.
Mm.
Yeah, I have, I guess, is Waterloo from Austin?
It is.
Got that watermelon Waterloo, my debut.
Hot trivia tip, Waterloo was the original name of Austin before it was changed to Austin.
So that's where Waterloo Records comes from, I guess.
Precisely. And and then Stephen F. Austin, you know. Did you hear my knowledge run out? He came along and
he came on, changed the name.
Rode a horse over here and did that, and then we just named it after.
Pretty sure he was there.
No, he did that.
Well, Alejandro, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your music. And stay safe. And when all this is done, we'd love to see you in Atlanta in the Pace Studio, face to face, or just on a stage where I can be in the sweaty crowd just cheering you on.
I'll be in one of those inflatable bubbles, just rolling through town, high five.
Coin looks pretty smart right now.
He certainly does. Yeah, he certainly does.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. See you guys.
Bye.
Erin, how you doing? Oh.
I wonder if you froze on my end.
I am frozen.
Can you see me?
You're frozen. I'm frozen.
Oh.
There you are. Welcome back. I don't know what happened there. Technology.
It was a little frozen.
How you doing in Nashville?
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day. Is it nice down there where you guys are?
It's been so gorgeous. I keep saying somebody up there just must be apologizing for the pandemic, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been
Yep.
beautiful here. Although that doesn't really fit with everything that's been going on in Nashville. You guys have had some terrible weather.
Yeah. Uh, I know. I had to run some errands earlier and was driving through Five Points, and it's just so shocking. It was just the week before kind of everything really shut down. I think it was like literally a week before South by Southwest canceled
Hmm.
that the tornado happened, and it just that those two things. I mean, South by Southwest being canceled was such a marker of like,
Yeah.
you know, what's to come. That was kind of the first like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I mean, you look back at it, I can't imagine if South by Southwest had happened, that would have, we'd be like teaching about that in history books where that
Yeah,
was where it all spread. So
right.
thank God. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
it's hurt Austin not having that, but very glad that did get canceled. And yeah,
Yeah, that's good for.
I was in Nashville a couple days before the tornado. That was like the
Okay.
last road trip I took, and we just
Yeah,
couldn't believe the pictures of places we had just visited getting torn up.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, we had left. I mean, not to, I feel like everybody, when after your town like experiences something shocking like that, it's like everybody's thing to be like, I was standing in my kitchen and I heard this thing, but I we drove, or I actually flew that night to Philly. So we left at like 9 p.m. And then when we landed, the storm had started. So it's pretty weird, pretty surreal to be not present for that. But it, as I'm sure you've heard, it's been really beautiful to see the response from people. So yeah,
Yeah. Although it was one of the most heartbreaking things was hearing about um, benefit concerts getting for the tornado getting canceled because of COVID. It was like this
yeah,
awful one too.
right, yeah. That was there was I think there was an event. I think Madewell was going to put one on. It was like their year anniversary, and they were going to do a like make all proceeds go to tornado relief, and then that wasn't able to happen. That's just like one of many, I'm sure, but yeah. But yeah, how's it going in Atlanta?
That's
Keeping
going
it
good.
keeping it real.
We're
So grateful that you're doing this. This is such a cool project.
Well, this has been great for me. I mean, I know at the end of every day I get to talk to somebody, I get to hear some live music, and those are the two things I was missing most. So I'm so glad for you to join us and so glad to get to do this. So,
Yeah.
before we get into the music, tell us a little bit about this last record, putting on airs, recording it in a monastery,
Yeah.
just the whole process of making this thing.
Yeah. So two friends that lived in Nashville for a while, but are Wisconsinites, Corey Chisel and Adriel Dene, they took over this Franciscan monastery in Appleton, Wisconsin, um, and started making it a creative space, like a nonprofit creative space called the Refuge. Um, and they've had everything in there from like a dark room and people doing writers residencies up there. Um, they put on shows in the chapel. They yeah, just and then hosting people on their way through on tours and things. Just like such an amazing space and couple that put that all together. So um, they started a thing a few years ago where they were going to raise some money and allow artists to come make records up there. Um, and so we had just been up for a festival that happens up there. And so the following February, I got to go up there with my drummer, Don Billett, and guitar player, Jerry Bernhardt, and our friend Dan Nobler. And the four of us got to camp out in this beautiful space. It's like 30,000 square feet, I think. And of course, we didn't use all of it, but we got to be there for about 8 days, and yeah, got to sing in the chapel, which had like fresh hardwood floors that had been put in, and there was still snow on the ground. The Fox River is outside the back, so it was very like picturesque and just really special, and kind of a bizarre, place to end up getting to make a record. So, but yeah, and so Putting on Airs is that record, and it came out almost 2 years ago now. So yeah, I was really, really grateful for that opportunity.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to play for us first today?
Well, I was thinking of a song that's one of the first songs that I wrote. It's from an EP that I released in like 2011 or something.
Uh-huh.
But it's called Crazy Talk, and yeah, it's just been on my mind with people being especially isolated, especially for people that maybe struggle with that as a, people that feel isolated maybe feel even more so now. Whereas, I think a lot of us get to see people at jobs and stuff, and then that kind of helps fill in, like we were talking about, kind of helps fill in the need for connection, if we're maybe not so good at it on a personal level. So anyway, this is called Crazy Talk.
I know that place your mind can take you and make you think you're not alright. I know that way your life can feel threatening, makes it hard to come alive. Don't give in to that crazy talk. Don't give in to that crazy talk. I know that when you're young and unhappy, it's hard to see things might change, especially when all you can remember is how it's always felt that way. Don't give in to that crazy talk. Don't give in to that crazy talk. Maybe you know something I don't. Maybe you know something I don't know.
There we go. Thank you.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That
Yeah.
is, as I've been talking to folks and they've been playing songs, one theme that keeps coming up is those songs that maybe have taken on a new meaning in this era of
Yeah.
it just seems, and it's a beautiful thing that art can do, but time and time again, and just me listening to songs that I love, I keep finding that like they're hitting in different ways because of just where we are right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this one's been around for a long time and had kind of like, specific feelings in mind that I don't even remember what some of them were, now. But yeah, it is interesting how art will just grow with us, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So last year you put out an EP that was full of some covers and some very cool choices on
Yeah.
those covers. Scott
Yeah.
Walker and Jonathan Richman.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about putting that thing together.
Yeah. Well, I kind of, yeah, those are just, it was a collection of like four of the songs I was listening to the most probably at that time. We got to make the Lanyap session for the Aquarium Drunkard blog. And yeah, so I have fallen madly in love with Scott Walker. Jerry, my guitar player, makes fun of me. He says I'm in my deep voice guy phase right now. I'm just like, let's listen to Lee Hazelwood and Scott Walker. But yeah, and then Gene Clark, of course. I'm like kind of well, whatever. I feel like I came late to the party on some of this stuff, but I grew up listening to like singer-songwriter music for a long time, and of course listened to like top 40 and all kinds of things. And then after we made Putting on Airs, I just learned a lot from on the musical side, working with Jerry and Dom and Dan, and it sent me down like another musical rabbit hole and came across like Gene Clark, Dillard and Clark, and yeah. So, but yeah, I guess all of those songs that You Must Ask the Heart is like such a sweet and special song by Jonathan Richman. So yeah, there's not much more for me to say other than I just love them. I just love them all. But yeah.
So are you finding yourself as you're staying home? Are you writing a lot? Are you feeling inspired,
Yeah.
frustrated?
All
Are there
of it.
songs that are coming out?
Yeah, well, I think like this particular time was sort of set aside for me to be working on getting a new record together. And we had some things on the books, but it wasn't just like a jam-packed spring, This was like going to be a writing time. So but it actually has kind of alleviated a little bit of pressure to like churn it out real quick. And at the same time, yeah, I've just been trying to kind of lightly discipline myself, and just like sit down like a couple hours a day during the week. It's not very much to ask. But it was just, I think, I don't know, when I first started playing music and writing songs, it was like alongside working odd jobs and waiting tables and stuff. And so it's been a transition to be like, no, I can set aside this time and just sit down and do it. And lo and behold, not that they're all hits, but like, just allowing whatever kind of comes up in those blocks of time. We've just been working on like just not judging like the quality of it too harshly right away. And so that's feeling good. I feel like this time has given me some room to grow that discipline muscle a little bit. But yeah, so working on a few songs. I feel like maybe a song and a half a week, and not that, like I said, not that they're all jams, but
that's great though.
Yeah. Also watching so much TV.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
What are you going to play for us next year?
Well, let's see. I actually don't know. Let's see. I'll play this song is called Can't Cut Loose. It's from the Putting on Airs record. Anytime you call me back, I'll come running, it's true. No, you got me down like clockwork, honey. Give me the go-ahead too. Remember when we were just children, laid up all afternoon. Wanna be free like we once were, honey. Want it even now, don't you? Wanna be free like we once were. Want it even now, don't you? Wanna be free like we once were, honey, but I can't cut loose. And I know I've got a faraway dream, runs high up above our heads. And I wanna be a grounded woman for you, honey, but it takes me up there instead. So I've set 'em up, all of my rules, 'cause I wanna do right, not wrong. Wanna be free like we once were, honey. Them two sides don't get along. Wanna be free like we once were. Want it even now, don't you? Wanna be free like we once were, honey, but I can't cut loose. Wanna be free like we once were. Want it even now, don't you? Wanna be free like we once were, honey, but I can't cut loose. No, I can't cut loose. Thanks for having me.
I love that song so much. Thank you for playing that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Your album has gotten a lot of play in our office, so looking
thanks.
forward to the next one.
Yeah, I guess we've been to Paste in New York.
New York, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So nice the studio in Atlanta is fairly new. Well, we had it way back in the day, and now it's back
cool.
in Atlanta. So
hell yeah.
Cool. Well, so back to television. We like to ask everybody here, what is the TV or book or whatever that you're spending your time on during this quarantine? What is getting you through it, or distracting you, or whatever?
Yeah, I'm kind of hopping around between a couple books, trying to build up that attention span. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
I know what you're saying.
It's got gotten thwarted over the years. So I've been reading this book of essays called The World Ending Fire by Wendell Berry.
I love Wendell Berry.
This is my first time really like diving into his stuff. And it's just like blowing my mind, that book specifically, like kind of as it ties into what we're experiencing now. And then I feel like I've caught up on a lot of like pop culture that I missed. I watched Frozen 1 and 2 with my niece.
Right. I've seen them both.
I've seen it a lot now. Could sing you all the words. Hunger Games. I've been watching Shrill. I blew through that, and I'm like so sad.
So good.
I also watched Tig Notaro's show from a couple years ago called One Mississippi.
She's
Love
fantastic.
it. Yeah. What have you been watching?
What have I been watching? One show that I loved, and we had one of the cast members on recently, is on AMC called Dispatches from Elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Sally Fields and Andre 3000, and yeah, I mean it's the weirdest sort of cast coming together, but it's a delightful show. And then right now I just started Upload, which I kind of like and wish it was a little funnier, but yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Cool.
Yep. I'm sure I'll have watched the rest of what's out there by the end of this thing.
Yes.
I'm like, I've never been a TV person, as like where I just like will watch a show, but now.
Yeah, I feel like all these musicians who've been on tour that just didn't have time for all of this are now like, wow, look at all these shows that are on Netflix.
They're so funny. But
well, this has been so much fun. Thank you so
thank
much for
you.
coming and doing this. And yes, when touring happens again and you find yourself in Atlanta, we'll have to do this in person at the studio.
Yeah, would love that.
Be so much fun.
Thanks again so much for putting this together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Erin.
Bye.